Afternoon booktube. It's welcome to Jack's Reading Corner. I am Jack, and I thought for I would do a an update. You guys, I'm off tomorrow, so I'm gonna be doing some reading tomorrow. But I thought I would end today because I'm home now and it's the afternoon, so I have several hours to go before the evening, before it's time for me to go to bed. I mean, granted, I don't have to get up early tomorrow, but I feel like it's important to try to stick for health purposes. I think it's important to try to at least, if you can't break the habit of going to bed super late, at least go to bed the same time every night. I mean, and I try to make that at least be in bed by midnight, because I think, like I said, it's important to establish that habit. And I don't like staying up because, I mean, occasionally I'll start to feel queasy if I stay up too late. And then I also end up feeling guilty, and I don't want to be tired the next day. So anyway, I'm going to give you guys an update on my reading. So, first of all, I finished Eleanor Oliphant. I finally finished Eleanor Oliphant. It's completely fine. I'm really loving it. I really enjoyed this book. It's also a very sad book, and it's a book that made me angry. I'm not someone who cries. For some reason, I cannot cry in books. I can cry in TV shows and movies, but I can't cry in books. And I think it's to do with I can't see, yes, I can use my imagination, but my imagination is not that good, so it's like, as much as I love reading, I need to actually see something that I'm not creating on my own. I need to actually see something that someone else created for me, that I can actually, literally see, not just in my mind, but actually, seeing, it's right in front of me, not just because of me exercising my brain cells, but, someone else put it there for me. And that's when I'll cry. Maybe that doesn't make any sense, but that's how I am. But this, this was basically about this young woman who, she's perfectly content with her life. She's very, she's very logical in her thinking and a bit socially awkward. And I feel like she might have Asperger's, but I'm not 100%, I'm no expert on that. But I've done research, I've done a tiny bit of research on that topic. So, or at least my mom has done more research than I have. But I've I've occasionally looked it up and learned some stuff about it. So, but just the way she thinks and the way she acts makes me think that that's her disorder. But I could be wrong here. But anyway, she has a perfectly good job. She just goes about doing her job and then goes home. She's a bit of an alcoholic. Eats her meals and calls her mommy. It's called mummy. That's what she addresses her mom as, mommy. But then one day, she and an IT guy at her work, at her office, come in contact with this old man who has just fallen on the street, and they decide to help him up and take him to the hospital. And somehow Eleanor, who, even though she tries to avoid that and go about her life, she kind of gets to be polite. She kind of makes friends with the guy, the IT guy, Raymond, and the old man, and she discovers they're actually really nice, decent people. And it's about her and her relationship with those people, and how it kind of it slowly changes her life, and all the cracks, the walls that she's put up are starting to crack. All the defense mechanisms, things that she's done to protect herself and hide the past from herself, are starting to reveal themselves. On some level, in some way, I kind of feel like I relate to Eleanor a little bit, because I do have learning disabilities, and I have math dyscalculia, and then I think, because for a while we thought I might be on the autism spectrum, and I don't think we've totally dismissed the issue that I might be on the spectrum. And there's also that I have, I think I've sadly inherited some of my dad's anxiety. But so in a way, I feel like I kind of can relate to Eleanor. I kind of understand her, but I'm not totally with her the way I don't totally think the way she does. I'm not as logical. And there were times when I got really frustrated with Eleanor but the thing is, it's not her fault. She can't help thinking the way she does. And of course, no one in the real world, in an ideal world, people in the real world will take the time to find out, okay, this person, maybe they can't help the way they think. Or maybe it's not their fault that they don't act the way what is considered normal. Like, there's certain social norms that she doesn't understand. And sometimes she thinks these people are being rude, but they're just being typical people and how what is defined as normal. And I say that because I don't want to say she's abnormal. But like what we consider normal and acceptable behavior is something that she doesn't understand, and she cannot help it. And sometimes, but there were also times when I was reading some of her opinions, I was like, she's not totally wrong. It kind of makes sense. And, like, there are some things that, and you're like, why is it that way? Or, why can't it be? And sadly, in this, the way she acts is not considered acceptable. It's really sad. Because she's a perfectly nice person, sometimes a little rude, but that's because she doesn't understand she doesn't understand certain things, doesn't, like there are times when times where people expect something from her that most people will just, it's common sense to do them, and she just looks at you like, what do you want from me? Because she doesn't understand why you're still expecting something from her. And it's very, I did not expect the ending. I was very surprised. But, but now thinking about it, knowing how it ends, it's like, I shouldn't have been surprised. Like, it makes sense. But it's a really great, I like Raymond as a character. I like Eleanor. She definitely, as a lot of people have said, on here, in the little blurbs, and, other people said that Eleanor does become very likable and lovable, and you kind of want to give her a hug, even if she's a little, responds like, what are you doing? Why are you hugging me? You just want to comfort her and help her. And I really appreciate that Raymond's character, not a lot of people would be as patient and understanding as Raymond was in the story. He is very patient with her, and he understands that, okay, she's a little different. He doesn't know exactly why she's different, but he understands that she is, and he accepts it, and he's patient with her. And although there are times when he was kind of, amused, and, it's not necessarily something, but he couldn't help it, because he, sometimes her quirks are amusing. I was amused by some of the things that she said, and, but she can't help the way she thinks, and the way she responds to certain things. So, anyway, it was a great book. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I finally read it. And I think it's just one of these things where at the time when it first came out, I just wasn't in the mood to read something like this. But now I'm in the mood. And it's, at my library, it's a staff pick. So, okay, so the other book that's the only library book I finished so far. Thankfully, I have another week to go before I have to return my books. So I'm currently, actually, for a second, I thought, they're due back next Tuesday, and then I was like, wait, I turned those books early, so I don't have to, I have a new date, so, which is the 28th. So now I'm also reading Everything's Eventual, which is one of Stephen King's collection of short stories. So far, the impression I'm getting is that they're all, stories, going by the title, they're all, stories that are basically implying that things will happen. Shit will hit the fan. Everything will eventually happen the way it's meant to happen. I don't know, I could be wrong there, but, or, the inevitable will happen no matter what you do. But so far, the two stories I just read, they weren't bad stories, and of course they were nicely written. They were good, interesting stories, but they weren't my favorites because it's not my kind of story. I prefer Stephen King's more supernatural type stories over his stories. Although I'm sure I'll like ones like Stand By Me and stuff like that. Like coming of age stories. I like those, but like there's the death of Jack Hamilton is basically about John Dillinger, and the narrator is telling about the last time before what they did before he died, and about what happened to his friend Jack Hamilton. Which I thought my cousin had said that Jack Hamilton and John Dillinger were the same person, but maybe not. I mean, they had it where it sounded like King was implying that according to the story, Jack was a separate person. But is that? And then the last one was a guy who was being interrogated. I want to say in like someplace like Mexico. Because he knew he had been in contact with someone like a criminal or something, and they were interrogating him. And he was a reporter. And then the ones I have like so far are Autopsy Room 4. That was really interesting. It's basically this guy who gets bit by a snake, and it puts him kind of in a coma-like state, in a state where it looks like he's dead, and he's being autopsied on, or they're getting ready to do an autopsy on him. And the whole story is basically him being like, okay, I need to make some kind of sound, I need to make some kind of movement, but the doctors will like turn on their favorite music, or will start talking, and like the female doctor and her assistant start making out. Like her assistant, male assistant likes her, and it's basically his commentary. And the man in the black suit is an old man who talks about his past when he was a little boy in 1914 or 1911 or something, and when he was going fishing, he sees a man he believes is the devil, and the devil tells him that his mom got stung by a bee and died. And we don't know if it really happened and the devil was lying to him, or if maybe he just had a nightmare. But then again, the kid was awake. He ran to his father right after the devil started chasing him. So it's like one of these things where did it happen or didn't happen? It's an ambiguous story. And then, I didn't like All That You Love Will Be Carried Away. I didn't really care about that one. That is basically one where a guy collects old graffiti with weird graffiti. He collects it in a notebook, and he goes to this motel room, and I think he's contemplating suicide. So really I only liked 2. So for the first 2 I liked, but the other 3 I did not like. But there are 14 stories, so now I started reading Sisters of Valyria this morning before I left for work. So there's that one, Everything's Eventual, the title story. LT's Theory of Pets, The Road Virus Heads North, that's 3. Lunch at Gotham Cafe, 4. That Feeling You Can Only Say What It Is in French, 5. I wonder what that one's going to be about. 1408, 6. Riding the Bullet, 7. 8 more stories to go, if I count it right. Lucky Quarter. And in someone's review, I found out that Lunch at the Gotham Cafe is basically about a couple contemplating, I think, divorce or something. And then 1408, I know because that one was made into a movie starring John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson. That's the one about the guy who does not believe. He always debunks the whole theories about places being haunted, and he decides to stay in this hotel room that supposedly is haunted. And the concierge tells him you should not do that because it really is haunted, and he slowly gets haunted, like it ends up being haunted. So I'm working on that one, and then I decided I probably need to start reading today. At some point today, I'm going to start reading The Keeper of the Lost Cities, Exile, the second book, because it's a middle grade book, so I could probably read a lot of chapters in a day. But it's basically Sophie's life. Now she's officially part of this world, this elven city, and I know she might have to go to this. I think she'll have to go to this place that was mentioned in the first book. This place that are like, you don't want to go there. I guess into exile. And this is like, you have a lot of, and it's funny that I was watching, I forgot what their channel name is. Oh, Alexa Loves Books. I think is he? I don't know if they're married. I think they're just a couple. They've been dating for a long time. I don't know if they're married or not. I have to look up their bio or whatever. Their about section on their channel, but they were talking about this book, and he was saying how the only thing he doesn't like about this is that it's kind of skating on the whole, it's blurring the line between YA and middle grade, because there's the whole relationship drama. It's starting to go into the territory of Sophie has 3 guys that like her, so there's a whole ship wars are starting to form. I definitely have, and I kind of see, yeah, that kind of is annoying too, because then it's like, but I do have a ship. I do like it. I think he has one too. I think we might even have the same ship, but I don't know. But yeah, it's still cute, still fun. I love the first one. I'm gonna read the second one. Like I said, I feel like I need to start reading this today because it shouldn't take me as long. And then other 2 books I got from the library are Nosferatu, this is Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, and I talked about this one already. I'm gonna read this one I'm gonna read this one soon as well, and then I have his Stephen King's Bizarre Bad Dreams. I don't know if I talked about this when I gave you guys another update on my read, or if I talked about this when I did my Stephen King collection, an update. But this is another collection of short stories. But I'm gonna try. And the good news is with the short stories, they're short stories, so they're not that long. Although Sisters of Valyria looks like a pretty long one. But that's why those books are so big. So those are my library books. And as for the books I'm currently reading from my personal collection, I'm currently reading, other than Everything's Eventual, I'm also reading Amy Tan's The Kitchen's God's Wife, because this is something I need to read, because I've had this for so long, and it's my sister's copy of the book, and luckily she's not I'm the only person who gets a little weird when people borrow my stuff. Then I get a little, as far as books and movies and music and stuff, like movies, not so much music anymore. I mean, no one's ever borrowed any music from me ever. Well, except for my sister borrowed Wicked one time, but when it comes to my books and movies, I get a little weird about that. I get a little anal about that a little bit, But she's not. She does not. She's okay with me keeping her books for so long. So this will remind me that next time, if she wants to borrow, which she probably never will, but if she ever did borrow, I have to remember that I kept her Amy Tan books for a long time. And I also have her husband's book, John Adams by David McCullough, which I've had that even longer than these 2 books. But this is basically a mother and a daughter. Most of her books are about mothers and daughters, and the daughter, she has some health issues, but she doesn't want to tell her mom because they're not she's not dying or anything, or it's not super serious, but it's it's still an issue. So the woman who she's not actually her aunt, but she calls her auntie, is encouraging her to tell her mom. And the mom, Winifred, she's being, Auntie Helen is telling her, you need to tell your daughter about what happened in the past. So the mom, Winnie, gives in and has called her daughter to her house and telling the story of her past. First she talks about like how her mom left her when she was a little girl and how she lived with her dad's family, and she's telling of how she met her first husband and how she was not he and how that guy's going to turn to be an asshole, of course. So I'm liking it. It's really good, and I'm very grateful that there's no movie version that I've already seen for this one. That's what happened with Joy Luck Club. I had already seen the movie, so I basically knew the whole plot. So it was like there was no magic to reading the novel. I was just reading the novel just to read the novel. Granted, it's still kind of like that because I'm reading it so that I can finally give it back to my sister. So it's still kind of being rushed. But it's really good. It's it's kind of slow, but I don't think it will take that long. But it is hard, it is kind of hard when that's one of the reasons why I do like having more days off, because then it gives me more time to read. Of course, that's not as important as making money, but making money to live off of, but, anyway. So far, I'm currently reading that one, and there are a lot of other books that I feel like, I should start reading this one now. And then, so that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now, that I need to get read, that I need to read. And then my library books, of course. And then I also want to show you that my dad is a golfer, and he was golfing with this woman she's Chinese American, and she has some books. We met up with them, and my dad and her golf together, and she came with him when he came picking up yesterday. So she gave me some books because my dad, I probably told her I love to read. So these are all by Lisa. At least 3 of these are by Lisa C. So Peony in Love. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. But this takes place in 17th century China. I'm not gonna even try to say the location, the name of the place. Our main character, Peony, lives a sheltered life. She sees a guy. She's really attracted to him. And she believes, it's like, I guess, so I guess it's about her relationship with this guy, and it sounds like kind of a Jane Eyre type story. With some ghosts and stuff, with some supernatural stuff in it. And this one, you guys have probably heard about Shanghai Girls. This is basically about 2 sisters, and their father basically spends their fortune, and they live in Shanghai. They live a pretty good life, but then their father loses everything, and the 2 sisters are forced to go to America. And this is in 1937, so this is kind of around the time of World War II. And of course, petty jealousy, the rivalry, so the girls, I guess, are fighting over a guy. And I have the sequel, which is about one of the girls' daughter, and how she decides to go back to Shanghai. So, and this is set in the 50s. And then the last book she gave me was by a different author, Jung Chang. I don't know if you pronounce it Although it's Chinese, so maybe you would probably pronounce it. I feel bad because someone gave it to her. So there's a thing. It's called Wild Swans, and it's a memoir, and I think it's a family saga kind of story. Like we were 3 generations in the 20th century, and their lives in China. So those are the books she gave me, and like I asked that, I think he said, yeah, they gave it to us. She gave it to us, but it has someone's. It was a gift. It looks like. I mean, I should ask for it back, gladly. But and then I was gonna show you one more book. Where is it? Oh wait. And so so my mom was decided there. My mom loves to shop at Bumping Baby, which is a store that's in the village that sells baby clothes and maternity clothes and all the cute stuff. So there was a sale the other day, and she decided, she asked if I had any books to donate. So while she was doing that for an hour, I went to the Gibbons bookstore, and of course, since I always seem to find that there's not a lot necessarily of the stuff that I like to read, so I'm it kind of allows me to be a little more less focused on like the fantasy young adult stuff and more focused on like more literary and more like about slice of life stories, all of that historical fiction, all that kind of stuff. And they also have in classics, they have not a bad collection of classics, but there's also sometimes a handfuls of Stephen King books. So I decided to get this. Desperation. I know there was a movie version where Ron Perlman is, I think he was the bad guy character. It's about this like hick little town where I think from the description I got that in Nevada, these people are kind of trapped in this town, and a lot of bizarre things happen to them if they don't fit the town's criteria or something. I don't know, but although I'm wondering, do I need to read The Regulators first before I read this one? I tried to look it up while I was at the bookstore, but I didn't. So I need to look that up because then I need to buy The Regulators before I get this one. Unless I can get away with reading this one and then read The Regulators. Because I think they're kind of linked. So I think either way, I'm going to read The Regulators, whether I read it before or after this one. But I love this cover. And my cousin was saying, I always think about the fact that a lot of people, like, on BookTube, people, like the idea of they're like, collecting a nicer cover of books. And sometimes, and let's face it, a lot of BookTubers cover buy things. And I don't do that because, for a while I was not working, and so I couldn't afford to all buy these nice hardback books all the time. So I always got paperback, especially mass market paperbacks books. So, and if I didn't have any money, I couldn't buy anything. So, finally I started, and the only time I'd get money is if someone would give me money for, like, a birthday or Christmas or something. Like, my grandma would sometimes give me money. But now I have a regular job, and, I just kept sticking to the whole idea of, I don't need to I don't need to always buy the nice hardcover or the fancy edition cover, like the special edition one. I don't need to buy that. I don't see any necessity to buy that, but I understand the appeal of that. But what's interesting is my cousin Phil, the one I mentioned, is looking at my collection. Said I have some nice editions. So it's kind of like surprising because there are some people that have even nicer editions than me. And like when we stayed, my extended family, last year we went up for apple picking back up to Maryland, and my extended family got a house to stay in, and this guy had a really nice sci-fi fantasy collection with a few others like thrown in that weren't in the fantasy sci-fi genre. But I don't remember if he had any Stephen King. I know he had Brandon Sanderson. I know he had like classics like Dune and stuff like that. And he had Game of Thrones probably and all that, but he had a pretty decent collection of, you know. I took a picture of it, but then I felt weird having that picture on my phone because it's someone else's collection. But I've done, because of what's at the bookstore, I have a lot more hardback Stephen King books. It's just, the problem is that, like, they're heavy. They're not easy to lug around and stuff and take me places. But anyway, I like this one. I like the cover on this one. I think it's really cool. But the when you take the flap off, there's nothing there. Nothing even embossed in it. So, which is kind of disappointing. That's why I like to keep even if they're a hassle to deal with, I like keeping the dust jackets on because there's something on the dust jacket. Not all books have something on the blank hardback. A lot more people are doing that, and a lot more people are doing like putting color on the pages, like which I really like. But anyway, so those are the books I've got, and then these are the ones. So that's what's going on in my reading. Would love to know what's going on when you're reading, and I hope you're enjoying what you're reading. Or if you're not, I'd love to know why aren't you enjoying it. Feel free to share in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you have not already. And I will talk to you guys later. Alright, bye!